Welcome, Flyffers. So after waiting patiently for 1 month, the DevBlog update for April is here, and Cameron posted it for us. So I will go about the different things and try to explain something if it's not clear. We're gonna watch a couple of small videos, so I hope it's fun for everyone. And if there's any questions, feel free to ask down below in the comments, and I will try to answer them ASAP. So let's start about the monster drops. Monster drops in Flyff PC have always been subject to various issues. Some monsters gave too many items, some other gave no items at all. Drops are now generated with a script to avoid bugs, allowing us to define clear rules. Not that the API will provide the complete list of items for each monster with an order of probability, not the exact percentage. That's fairly nice. So they removed the bugs that even with gift box you couldn't drop from various monsters. And I really like the API change. So basically you're not left in the dark. You can now check where to drop what at what monster and at what rate you can do it. So it's fairly sweet. So let's continue with the general monster changes. Slightly increase the drop rate of booty questies. Captains will now drop more questies than normal monsters, which will drop more questies than small monsters. This change is fairly good because at the moment captains, like by their name, they sounded like they are the better ones, but they didn't give any beneficial in killing. And now they seem to have a purpose with their strength in giving you more questies. General monsters can drop only power dice 4, 6, and 8, okay. General monsters can now drop fruit punch and gratin. Before they were only dropped up to meat salad, okay, so higher food can be dropped. General monsters will not drop unique weapons anymore, same as version 9 onwards. Okay, so this change means in version 7 it was, for example, possible to drop like a Guardian Nux at normal mobs, just like at cranes when you level there, and then in version 9 it got removed so that those unique weapons could have only been dropped by giants and in dungeons. So no more dropping at normal farming mobs here for the green weapons, for example. Take a look at the dungeon monsters. All monsters in dungeons have a higher chance to drop power dice than general monsters. They can also drop power dice 10 and 12. Okay, this change is really interesting and makes a lot of sense, because usually in Flyff you go like, okay, it's a dungeon, do I even have to clear the mobs, can I just run through it, use Dark Illusion and that's it? And now with this change, and if the rate is balanced pretty good, this forces you to actually clear the full dungeon to get the additional drops. So if the drop rate is balanced nicely, this will definitely make more sense for the dungeons overall. Flying monsters. Only flying monsters can drop black earrings. They also have a higher chance to drop demon earrings than general monsters. Okay. Giants. Giants are guaranteed to drop at least one common, uncommon weapon or piece of armor. Note about guaranteed drops. They are still subject to drop probability reduction if your level is higher than the monster. 10% if you are 9 levels or more than the monster. Treasure Hunter and other buffs will not make them drop twice or more. Okay, so you're basically getting one guaranteed drop, so it's always worth to kill a giant. But the drop restriction based on levels is still active. So in Flyff you usually have the best drop rate if you're +3 or -3 levels of a mob. And the more your gap is between the level of the mob and your own level, the less you will drop, and they're keeping this even with the guaranteed drop. Giants have a chance to drop power dice 10 and 12, making giants even more valuable. Giants have a higher chance to drop an elemental card matching their element. Yeah, I think that change is very useless because element cards are usually not worth anything, so it's not worth noting. Giants have a higher chance than general monsters to drop rare weapons, pieces of armor, and jewelry. Okay, that's fine. Giants will drop several questies and consumables, also good. Only giants and bosses can drop unique weapons. That's based on the change before, so makes sense. Each giant has a slight variance in chance. Few percentages to drop a specific kind of unique weapon. Okay, for example, one giant will have a slight better chance of dropping a sword, while another might have a slight better chance of dropping a staff. Okay. I'm not sure what to think about this, cause in Flyff it's usually never that like all classes are really balanced out. It's usually like some classes that have like high peaks of numbers, cause people like really like to play rangers, for example, or blades. They're usually picked a lot. So this would mean that the giants that dropping like one-hand axes and bows might be camped even more, and people have to fight about them a lot more. So we'll see how this figures out in the real play. Now let's take a look at Clockworks. Clockworks will now always drop one piece of jewelry between Might Tier, Panzer, Strength, Intirat, and Dexion. There is a chance to drop a second of one of these jewels. Okay. Clockworks has a small chance to drop one of its rare jewels, the +3 or +2 parts of the first mentioned. Clockworks has a high chance to drop Clockworks weapons and piece of Clockworks armor. Okay. Yeah, we have to see if the Clockworks armor is actually playable or not. Because on Flyff PC, Clockworks armor was basically only plate on plate, where it could get an additional hit rate if you paired it with only 3 parts of the dice set. So other bosses, this includes Dreadpad Dungeon, Iblis, Leans, and Meteoniker. These bosses will drop many quest items, consumables, and common, uncommon weapons and pieces of armor. They have a high chance to drop upgrading materials, including power dice 10 and 12. They are the monsters with the highest chance to drop several rare weapons and pieces of rare armor. Iblis Leans can drop weapons of Iblis. Okay, so I'm curious if they keep like just the old stat feature on there, or if they change them to be actually useful. Meteoniker can drop legendary golden weapons. Okay, I'm really surprised by this change here. I was expecting them to introduce bloody weapons and make Red Meteoniker a thing, and maybe fix the Red Meteoniker one-hit animation, because this was not intended when the Flyff developers actually released it. The one-hit was basically a bug. So quest monsters. Quest and Kairos monsters will now only drop items relative to their quests. Okay, that's fine. Okay, Clockworks weapons, added equivalent weapons for acrobats. Okay, this makes sense because they haven't been in the game, so that's fair and favoring the class balance. Okay, nice. Hunting board. Hunting board is the first part of an important achievement system in development. Each type of monster has a counter of monsters killed by the player. Once a player completes an achievement level, it will receive a permanent attack bonus against all monsters belonging to the specific type. Completing all levels on achievement can unlock a specific title. Okay, that sounds really interesting. So this makes achievements a thing like in most other MMOs, where you could battle on like getting the highest rank in achievements as well, bringing a lot more PvE content to the players that don't enjoy PvP, so maybe catches them more long time. But what I'm not sure about is like the bonus is against monsters of the specific type. So they might need to clarify what type of monster it is. Is it like every fire monster that you get bonus damage? Or is it like, I don't know, what is the type? That's what's missing here. So let's see if we can figure it out, and Cameron will answer our questions. Then the player titles. This was introduced in version 13 on Flyff PC. You can now unlock titles and select one to show next to your player name. We kept the version 7 system by allowing you to select PvP title, which is based on your PvP fame points and job. It is the default setting when you create a new character. So basically they put out back the title system, but you can still use your PK titles if you like getting like a certain amount. I think it was like 3 kills in a row without dying, for example, to get like PK killer as a title. So those should be still in the game. Decane Mine. Due to several issues with the Decane Mine reported during the CBT, and that the quest chain has never been finished in Flyff PC, we decided to rework most parts of this dungeons. The layout map is the same, but we removed walls and put a real terrain ceiling that will make it look more like a real mine. We hope that players will appreciate a few details like shining crystals and drops of water falling from the ceiling in some places. The whole quest chain and mechanism of the dungeon have been fixed and completed, so the last room with the bloody trilly piece can now be accessed by players. Spawn timers and monster drops have been adjusted too. After completing the quest chain, you will be able to talk to the old man Decane and access the hidden room, initially blamed from the Decane Mine by the PC developers. Finally decided to reserve for the Meteorica in Volcano Dungeon in version 11. The hidden room of the mine is a guild quest working like the Clockworks. Players will have 1 hour to defeat this level 100 boss, whose power is between the Clockworks boss and Red Meteonica boss. Okay, so they introduced a new dungeon that's basically guild based, but they didn't tell us exactly what's going to be dropped in there, so I'm looking forward to figure out what we can farm here. Okay, from the screen, that's a damage meter. So there's now damage stats window. The window will show you the total damage done and average damage dealt per second. You can use this to know exactly how much damage you are dealing over a period of time, rather than just relying on the pop-up damage numbers. You can also see the stats of any other players who are fighting the same target as you, party fighting a giant or guild fighting Clockwork. So you can reset the stats displayed using the reset button on the top right of the window. This is really good and definitely a must-have on any server nowadays, and also a really good feature for the admins themselves to do the PvE balance and check that all classes are balanced out in their damage outputs. Damage training dummies. To complement the damage stats systems, training dummies are now available next to the Saint City Arena. There are dummies for each natural element and one without a specific element. They take advantage of a new system scaling the enemy of the player's level. Those that don't have a specific level and will always act like an average monster having the same level as the player. Okay, that's fairly nice, so you can test your damage dummy, your damage on the same statue every time. You don't have to go ahead and look for like different mobs to get damage going, so that sounds pretty good. A huge quality of life change. Okay, that's quest changes. The quest window now uses the same style as the other window redesigns. Okay, so let's take a look. It basically has the sideways tabs here and is having a better overview. Pretty nice. Maximum level conditions have been removed for all quests with the exception of Threadpad Dungeon, E+ Dungeon, Kebara's Prison and Job Change. When talking to an NPC, if you refuse their quest, it will remove the emoticon from the top of their head and icon in the map and navigator. This doesn't mean you can do the quest anymore. You can still start the quest by talking to the NPC. Okay, so only the icon is removed, but you can still do it. Quest XP reward system change. The experience is now specified as a percentage given when the quest is completed on its minimal level to finish it. This amount is then reduced by 10% for each level above the minimum level required to complete the quest. The window will now show the XP percentage that you get if you complete the quest at your level. Okay. So basically it's not like a total number that you can't figure out because you don't know how much EXP you actually need to level up, because it's shown in percentage, rather than it's showing you now the exact percentage and you know exactly how much percent you lose if you turn it in one level late, for example. So that's good, and we'll probably get more players to turn them in on the exact level because they now realize how much percent they would lose and how much more farm speed they lose if they're getting like the one level up later and don't get the damage increase by the earlier level up. Okay, DK Mine Quest has been changed, that was already mentioned about before. Fix the bug that occurred during Dr. Easley Phantom or Fear Quest. Some quest rewards and minimum level requirements have been adjusted. Okay. Now this is really good. Flying improvements. Good job. So basically the game is called Fly for Fun, and the only thing you could do while you're flying was basically like getting fast from one point to the other. The whole fighting system in the air was really clumsy and no one was really using it except if you wanted to farm like, I don't know, some Black plus 9s, and that was it. So let's take a look how they changed it. So they made it so bows and yo-yos can also attack in the air, so they're not left out behind, which is fairly decent. The animation's also looking pretty nicely. Okay, so blades have their own attack now, and if you look closely, the second hit was dealing a lot more damage than the first hit, so they managed to give them the initial blade benefit back. So for those that don't know, blades do 1.8 times more damage on their second hand hit than on their first hand hit. So here we're checking the new knuckle animation. Still doing the uppercut here, that's good. Okay, so most skills can now be used while flying. Okay, that's really nice. Okay, for those of you that didn't realize what he was doing at the start of the video here, he was actually using the follow mechanic by pressing V, the same thing you follow players in the party, you can do on flying mobs to get closer to them once you have targeted them. Okay, dark illusion on the flight. Okay, that's pretty dangerous for PK. A dark elu person flying on top of you, porting down, killing you. Holy shit, you have no chance to get rid of the... You can never escape this assault. Okay, also magic attacks. Okay, so this means you can buff yourself and other flying players. Also players on the ground can buff you, but you can't buff players on the ground while you're on the board or on the broom. And you can even AoE now mid-air as well. Yeah, a bit overkill with this effective, but it is possible to AoE. Fairly nice, fairly nice. So now we have some changes to food and potions. The restored values of food, refreshers and potions have been increased. MP refreshers and FP potions now have a small cooldown like other consumables. FP potions now have their own visual effect, and using them, and each FP potion has a unique visual. Okay, so let's take a look at the unique visual for FP potions here. Okay, pretty sweet with the star on top. Oh, that's really good. I was missing this in Flyff so much because it's so annoying to sell everything one by one. So basically they added a button where you can quick sell everything in your inventory, and you can make sure that with the filter that you don't sell anything you actually need, and in case it's happening that you accidentally sell something you need, instead of like going to the support, asking for a restoration, which they will most likely deny because it was your own fault, you now have the option to buy back stuff that you sold to the NPC. Really fair feature, should be on any server, so really happy about this. Now we have some other changes. Catcher spawns now have various spawn locations across each continent rather than set spawn spots. Added Guru Catcher and Classic Catcher spawns to Darknet 3. Level 60 plus pieces of rare armor are now red like unique weapons. Old faces from the Japanese versions are now available at character creation and plastic surgery. Okay, bringing more unique customization to your chart. That's good. Players really like to do it. Old faces now have their cartoon version. Also fixed faces were missing their blinking texture and cartoon style. Okay, really good. Staffs now have their own unique meal attack animation. Okay, not sure if this is really needed because you probably, if you do a melee attack with your staff, you most likely fucked up your skills. Action slot now only has one initial cast animation regardless of how many skills are in the action slot. Players with any amount of karma can now fly again. Okay, I'm not sure about this cause, like, if you're a red name you shouldn't be allowed to fly, but we will see how this turns out. You can now collect materials from collectors by clicking the monsters instead of using emotion. Yeah, that's a huge quality of life change and makes the collecting more fluent. Skills now reset when completing the first job change at level 15. Okay. Buffing will stand in set locations and won't disappear. Will still give only 4 low level buffs which are limited to players under level 30. Okay, stats now reset at level 60, not the reset item. Okay, so basically if you hit level 60 you can change again. So for example, let's see what classes benefit a lot from it. For example at BP you might want to go full STR and level 1 by 1 early on, and once you hit like level 60 you can already go into a stamina build to be ready for your AoE once you hit level 70. Cheerpoints are not reset anymore when logging out, however you will still need to be online for 1 hour without disconnecting to get a new cheerpoint. Okay, that's really sweet and beneficial. Buff timers are now displayed in minutes, seconds instead of only seconds. Okay, not sure if it's only like saying minutes and seconds, like how are they displaying the hours, if it's gone above 1 hour. You'll see. Added required collector material quantity to the save upgrade window. Okay, this answers my questions from the last DevBlog, where they introduced the save upgrade, but no materials were assigned, and then there was also a poll asking the community if they like to upgrade with power dices or if they like to upgrade with moonstones, and if they want to keep the materials from the collector mobs on yes or no. And basically, I hope this window answers the question that we're going to upgrade with power dices and we are keeping the materials. So now we have like the bug fixes, and at the end, let me just read it out. Fix the client crash when doing the guild siege lineup. Fix bugs where cancelling an attack or attacking another monster took up several seconds to be visible on the client side. Fix the bug where pressing a key and clicking out of the game window made the key stuck. You had to press the key again to fix the issue. Oh, that happened to me so many times in beta and I didn't know what was happening. It was really annoying, so I'm happy they fixed it. Fix the visual bug with yo-yos when attack speed or distance with the monster was higher than a certain amount. Fix the visual bug that occurred while using the outline mode for certain shields and fashion pieces. Fixed all fashion pieces going to the equipment slots instead of fashion slots. Fix text selection by double clicking. Disable transparency when styling text with font editor premium buff. Scroll bar will now only show when necessary in NPC shops. Fix game masters and administrators still affected by your E-skills when they are in invisible mode. Okay, so they don't want to get spotted anymore. All items in NPC shops are now generated by a script, fixing various issues including pieces of armor missing. Shops should now be similar to the Flyff PC version. Removed some NPC shops tabs with no items to sell. Okay, this was needed a long time ago. It's so annoying if you're like new to the game and you try to figure out and try to check where you can buy anything, and then you keep going to all those NPCs that don't even sell anything and have their tabs and you waste your time. So really nice doing this. Fix the bug where Knuckles had a swinging sound effect. Fixed incorrect weapon upgrade and element glow position on Knuckles. Okay, that's pretty good. So if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I will make sure to ask Cameron about what do they mean about the bonus and achievement systems, to what specific type of mobs are there and what's going on, and I will try to keep you updated. So if you like what you saw, drop a follow, don't forget to subscribe and comment. Cheers.